I first heard about this story on MrBallen's YouTube channel, and then again on Joe Rogan's podcast. But this isn't just another creepy flight tale. Some believe this could be the first recorded documented case of actual contact with an alien intelligence. Whether you think it's real or not, it's one of the most fascinating and eerie encounters ever caught on tape. Watch until the end and let me know, do you think this was humanity's first contact? And if you enjoy stories like this, make sure to subscribe so you never miss what's next.
We are observing. Do not fear.
It was the early hours of May 3rd, 1976, when Rafael Pacheco Pérez, a young Mexican pilot, lifted off from Zihuatanejo en route to Mexico City. Flying solo in a twin-engine craft, the night sky stretched endlessly around him. Clear, calm, routine. Everything felt ordinary. But at 4:05 a.m., the extraordinary began. Rafael radioed Mexico City's control tower, where air traffic controller Carlos de Cresci was on shift. His voice crackled through the headset. "I see 3 lights off to my right." Carlos checked radar. Nothing. No flight plans. No aircraft in range. "There's nothing near you," Carlos replied. But Rafael was certain. "They're moving with me." Moments later, "There are 4 now. One's directly ahead." He sounded tense, but not afraid. Yet. Suddenly, the radio cut out. Silence. Then static. Then something else. The voice. Not Carlos. Not Rafael. Something entirely other. It bled through the transmission, like a signal from somewhere it shouldn't exist, low and layered with distortion. It spoke in Spanish. "Estamos con ustedes. No tengan miedo." We are with you. Do not be afraid. Carlos sat frozen in his chair. Rafael confirmed, "Who else is on board?" "No one," came the reply. "I'm alone." The signal warbled again. "Observamos desde hace tiempo." We have been observing for some time. Rafael scanned the sky. "They're surrounding me," he reported. "I count 6 lights now. They're close. Too close." Carlos checked every screen. Still nothing. No radar contact. No emergency pings. Just a disembodied voice on a secure channel that should have been impossible to breach. "Rafael, maintain altitude," Carlos instructed. "Do not engage." The response was silence, and then, faintly, mechanical, almost sorrowful. "No están listos." You are not ready. Carlos stared at his console. Rafael's plane was still airborne, but something else was in control of the frequency now. The transmission flickered, dipped into static, then returned with eerie calm. "We observe. We do not harm. The vessel is being tested." Then everything cut. The voice vanished. The lights outside Rafael's cockpit were gone. Carlos tried to raise him again, and this time, the pilot's voice came through, shaken, quiet. I think they're gone." Neither man understood what had just happened, but they both knew one thing for certain. That night, in the empty skies over Mexico, something made contact, and it wasn't human. Carlos de Cresci stared at the radio panel, his fingers hovering over the switches like he was afraid of touching something sacred. Moments ago, an unknown voice had hijacked a secure frequency, speaking to a pilot mid-flight, and then just disappeared. Not faded, not distorted, just gone. "Rafael, do you copy?" he repeated, voice steadier than he felt. After a long beat, Rafael's voice returned, thin and rattled. "I'm here, but something's wrong with the instruments." Inside the cockpit, Rafael was wrestling with every dial he had. His altimeter fluctuated erratically, the compass spun wildly, and the radar, usually so quiet at night, flashed bursts of static that pulsed in unnatural rhythms. "My controls, they're not responding normally," he told Carlos. "I'm not losing altitude, but the plane, it feels heavy." Carlos reached for his supervisor but stopped. What could he even report? Unidentified voice on military-grade comms? Lights moving with aircraft at impossible angles? He stayed on the line. "Try to maintain course," he said, grasping for routine. "We've got your transponder." Rafael didn't respond right away. Then came something worse than silence. Breath. Not his. Not human. Just this slow, deliberate exhale that crackled through the headset like wind through gravel. It didn't belong to either of them. "Carlos," Rafael said slowly. "It's back." The voice returned, quieter this time, almost a whisper echoing through metal.
No intervention, only transmission. Comprehension must begin.
Carlos's blood ran cold. "Who are you?" he demanded into the open frequency. No answer. "What do you want with the aircraft?" Again, nothing. But Rafael answered instead, his voice trembling now. "They're scanning me. I can feel it." "Feel it how?" Carlos asked. "Like they're not just outside, like they're in here, in my head." Outside Rafael's window, faint, shimmering forms shifted in and out of visibility. No solid shapes, just distortions, like heat waves suspended midair. One hovered near the cockpit window. It didn't glow, it absorbed. A black void outlined by glimmers of stars that blinked and warped as it moved. And then, once more, the voice. "This vessel is not primary. Mind state is under evaluation." "Carlos," Rafael gasped. "They're speaking in my thoughts now. I'm not hearing them through the radio." Carlos was sweating. His hands gripped the desk, knuckles white. He didn't know if this was electromagnetic interference, or psychological warfare, or something beyond the words they had for terror. "I want you to try to descend 1,000 feet, he said, clinging to protocol. "Slowly. Don't panic." "I'm trying," Rafael whispered, "but something's overriding the controls. I'm locked at altitude." Then came the words neither of them would ever forget. The voice returned. Cold, unfeeling, absolute. "Recalibration complete. The observer has been acknowledged. This channel will close." And just like that, the presence lifted. The static stopped. The lights disappeared. Rafael looked around the empty sky, now still and silent. "I can move again," he said breathlessly. "Everything's back to normal." But nothing was normal. Not anymore. Because now they both knew. They were never alone up there to begin with. The sky had gone quiet, but the silence didn't feel like safety. It felt like the air was holding its breath. Rafael steadied his grip on the yoke, sweat beading along his brow despite the cold creeping into the cockpit. "Carlos, I'm initiating return," he said, voice rough, the strain of what had just happened still in his throat. "Copy that," Carlos replied, though something in his tone had changed, no longer just the voice of a controller but of someone deeply shaken. As Rafael banked gently south toward base, he noticed something unsettling. The stars ahead seemed wrong. Faint distortions rippled across the sky like a mirage, and then the lights reappeared. Two this time. First above him, then below. No red strobes, no winking navigation beacons. Just orbs. Perfectly round, pure white, impossibly bright, and moving in absolute silence. "Carlos," Rafael said, slower now. "They're back. They're following me." "Maintain course," Carlos instructed, trying to sound firm, but his voice cracked on the last word. "Can you describe what you're seeing?" "They're pacing me," Rafael replied. "Matching my speed and altitude. No wings, no sound, no shadow." He couldn't tell how far they were, but they moved like thoughts, instant, precise. One of them surged ahead, arcing around the nose of the plane in a wide circle, then froze mid-air, dead still, as if watching. Then the radio came alive again. "Do not fear. Calibration phase completed. Observation will continue." But this time there was something else. A presence. It wasn't just speaking. It was pressing in. Rafael's vision blurred for a second. His heart thundered and the hairs on his arms rose, as if a current was passing through his body. "They're in my head again," he muttered. "Carlos, they're showing me things." "What things?" Carlos asked quickly. "What are you seeing?" "It's not visuals, it's feelings, memories. Like they're flipping through my thoughts. Like I'm not a person to them, just a file to be read." Carlos tried to keep him calm, urging him to focus on his instruments, but Rafael's voice drifted. "They know my childhood, my training. They're looking for something." "What are they looking for?" Carlos asked. "I don't know," Rafael answered, eyes locked on the light still frozen ahead of him. "But I think they're confused, like I'm not the one they expected." Suddenly, all his lights blinked off, every indicator, every panel, everything. A full blackout. Yet the plane didn't stall. The engine still hummed. It was as if the aircraft was suspended in a vacuum that no longer followed the rules of nature. "Carlos, I've lost all systems," he said, though he wasn't sure how the radio was still working. "Copy," came the voice. But not Carlos's. It was them. Clearer now. Less robotic. Fear interrupts flow. This is not extraction. You will return. Just as quickly, the lights returned. The instruments rebooted. The world reassembled around him. But Rafael couldn't breathe. Not out of fear, but because for a split second, he was somewhere else. Not in the plane, not in the sky, in something. A black space with no walls, no floor, just presence. And then, he was back. His hands on the controls, the hum of the engine in his ears. The objects were gone. Radar clean. "Carlos," he whispered. "I think they let me go." Rafael touched down with barely a whisper of rubber on tarmac, the night wrapping the runway in a hush that felt sacred. Carlos's voice came faint over the final check-in, calm, professional, but layered with something deeper. Not relief, not yet. In the debrief, the higher-ups chalked it up to electrical anomalies and unidentified radar interference. No one mentioned the voice. No one asked what it meant by calibration or evaluation. Rafael didn't offer it either. Not because he didn't remember, but because he remembered everything. The way it had spoken, not just to his ears, but into his mind, as if it had peeled him open and read every page. He hadn't just seen lights in the sky. He had been seen, fully, and somehow judged. He would fly again, many times, but never at night, and never alone. Not because he was afraid, but because something, somewhere, still was watching. Not hostile, not friendly, just waiting. And whatever it was, it had spoken through silence, and left behind a message no one could explain. You are not alone. You never were.
Was this the first real contact with aliens? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're into alien conspiracies, real encounters, or sci-fi stories, hit subscribe.